Okay, thank you very much for staying with us also for the third session of the masterclass. It is now time to have real feedback from real life application of the SWOT model. And in particular, we are happy to host Dr. Fethi Abdelli and the colleagues of the Institute of Other Intelligence in Medenine, in Tunisia, that have a lot of experiences about the use of the SWOT model. I think they will present about SWOT model, so the standard version, not the SWOT plus update, but still the application are really, really the same and very relevant for our projects. So, Fethi, I leave the floor to you, and we will maybe have some question at the end of your presentation. Thanks a lot.
Okay, thanks a lot, Julio. Hello, everyone. I am Fethi Abdelli, water shed management and hydrologist modeling specialist, working in the IRA, Institut de Région Aride in Medenine, in Hermology and Combating Desertification Laboratory. Really, I'm very happy to participate in this class, and thank you for the invitation. Our presentation, I will share my screen first here. Sorry, you see my screen?
Yes, you can put the presentation full screen.
Yes. You see?
Perfect.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. Well, our presentation will give you an overview about the application of SWOT models in the dry Mediterranean area, the case of study of in Tunisia. The presentation will be presented by Fethi Abdelli, my colleague Reem Haddad, with the assistance of Professor Mohamed Ouessar. Then the presentation will be divided in two parts. The first one will be presented by my colleague Reem Haddad with the assistance of Professor Mohamed Ouessar. Reem will present an overview of the historical utilization of the SWOT model in Tunisia. Just an overview of the use of SWOT model in Tunisia. Then in the second part, I will present the adaptation or the results of adaptation of a SWOT model. Now I leave you with my colleague Reem to present the first part. Thank you.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. I'm Dr. Reem Haddad from IRA Medenine. I'm a hydrogeological modeling specialist. Thank you for the invitation. So I will start my presentation. In fact, several studies have been conducted and published from the beginning of the 2000s within the framework of SWOT modeling. But we cannot limit all the studies. We will give you some examples in this limited time. So I will start with these studies are provided in the chronological order. I will start with the study of Bargheri in all 2005. Berger et al. 2005 applied the SWAT model to study the potential impact of land management scenarios on the major Tunisian river, which is the Majorda. The Majorda watershed is located in the northwest of Tunisia. It lies in the subhumid to Mediterranean humid bioclimatic region. Two large dams have been constructed in the study area, and the SWAT model was applied to compute the water balance and the water quality. The main results have shown concerning the water balance that about 87% of the precipitation were lost through evapotranspiration, and concerning the water quality, 80% of the nitrates present in surface water was due to agriculture. Two scenarios in this study were developed. The first one is the conversion of the total agricultural area to irrigated wheat with an increase of the fertilization rate to 30% for nitrogen and phosphorus. This intensification of agricultural resulted in a predicted increase in nitrate load in the river by 22%. The second scenario was the introduction of additional watershed treatment plants. The most significant impacts on water quality were a reduction of the phosphorus load by 50%, and the predicted reduction in ammonium load is around 25%. We pass to another study, the study of Ouessar 2007 and Ouessar et al. 2009. Ouessar 2007 developed an adapted GIS-based SWAT model for water balance assessment in arid watersheds with water harvesting system. The study case is Coutin watershed in Medenine. It lies in upper arid bioclimate region. Specific soils, specific types of soils and land uses for the study area were introduced, and the soil map was modified to take into account the soils built up behind the water harvesting units as deposit sediment. The land use map also was adjusted by adding the different soil and water management practices like Ouessar and Tabia. I suppose you know the Ouessar and Tabia water harvesting techniques. So this table is showing the land use evolution before and after the water harvesting project. We note that plain ranges and cereals are decreasing, while the olive on Tabias were increasing by 18%. This table gives the evolution before and after water harvesting techniques in hectare and in percentage. To adapt the model to arid conditions, specific adjustments were made. Mainly the redistribution of runoff water within a subbasin. The SWAT code was modified to simulate the collection of runoff water behind the water harvesting structures, the Ouessar and Tabia, by bringing the surface runoff and lateral flow generated in the subbasin back to the water harvesting HLUs in the subbasin. The adjusted version of the model was named SWAT-WH. I just noticed that all the studies are, we give all the reference in the bottom of the slides. You can find the reference at the bottom of the slide. So the main objective of the study of Ouessar 2007 and Ouessar 2009 was to assess the long-term effects on the large-scale implementation of water harvesting works on the main water balance components using SWAT model in Wadi Ouessar watershed. The results seemed satisfactory. The R2, the coefficient of determination, and arranged between 0.7 and 0.4, and the Nash-Sutcliffe coefficient between 0.7 and 0.4. In such arid conditions, the model predicted that the average annual watershed rainfall of the 12-year evaluation period was split into 72% evapotranspiration, 22% as groundwater, and 6% as outflow. So 4 scenarios were developed. The first one described natural watershed, no water harvesting works, no crops. The second one described Jessur on the maintained area and Tabia on the foothills. The third one described Gabion check dams for aquifer recharge and fluid speeding. And the last one described the land use as similar to the third one, with partial silting up of the Gabion check dams. The main results are given in this table. This table give the water balance components in percentage, in millimeter, and in percentage. We can find the results in percentage for 4 scenarios. These figures illustrates the results of the 2 main scenarios. The first one and the second SC2 is the third one, which is describing the implementation of water harvesting works. The results give the percentage of recharge, flow outs, and evapotranspiration. Next, we pass to another study, which is Misbahi et al. 2011-2019. Misbahi et al. Used the SWAT model to predict surface runoff generation patterns and soil erosion hazard, and to prioritize most degraded sub-catchment in order to adapt the appropriate management intervention. The case study is Sarah River catchment in north of Tunisia. It lies in subhumid to semi-arid climate. The SWAT was used to estimate surface runoff and soil erosion. The spatial differences in erosion rates within the Sarah catchment were mainly caused by differences in land cover type and gradient slope. The main results showed that the large part of the watershed, about 19%, fell under low and moderate soil erosion risk, and only 10% of the watershed was vulnerable to soil erosion, as given in this figure. 7 conservation practice scenarios was developed. The results have shown that land conservation measures could reduce sediment yield, but by about 5 to 43%, and runoff by 5 to 32%. Parallel terraces were the most effective. The second main result was that parallel terraces were the most effective both for runoff and for sediment loss, followed by forestation. The final main result was the best results were obtained for combined scenarios. Ouessar et al. 2016 used the SWAT model to estimate potential evapotranspiration, actual evapotranspiration, and stream flow. The model was applied to the Jomine Basin, located in northern Tunisia. The objectives of this work were to evaluate the effects of various climatic parameters generated by the statistical weather generator embedded in SWAT, which is WXGAN in that time, on the hydrologic output of SWAT model. To evaluate the second objective was to evaluate the Penman-Monteith method's accuracy in calculating potential evapotranspiration using generated and measured meteorological data. The last objective was to compare the three methods to predict potential evapotranspiration in SWAT, which was Penman, Monteith, Hargreaves, and Priestley-Taylor. It is to notice that the WXGNN generated data reproduced potential evapotranspiration estimated by the Penman-Monteith method. The best results were obtained with measured climatic data. However, the Penman-Monteith method predicted the potential evapotranspiration well with generated data. Daily potential evapotranspiration value using generated weather data were highly correlated with those using observed data. And then the method used to calculate the potential evapotranspiration did not considerably affect stream flow predictions. The model predictions of stream flow were close to observed values, with the Nash-Sutcliffe efficiency of 0.9 and the R2 value of 0.9 after monthly calibration using harvest method. Shaban and Abida. The next study is for Shaban and Abida 2016 who's applied the SWAT model to simulate daily and monthly water flow and sediment fluxes in the Wadi Hattab watershed in central Tunisia. The climate was semi-arid to arid, and the soil and land use map were extracted from the regional maps. Results clearly showed the reasonably good agreement between simulated and observed flow rates. For daily time, the NSE values were between 0.5 and 0.6, and the R2 values was between 0.5 and 0.6 for calibration and validation respectively. And the monthly values also, the results seemed satisfactory, and these figures illustrate the spatial distribution of the precipitation and sediment yield predicted by SWAT for the Hattab watershed. Another study was the Abdelli 2017. Abdelli applied the SWAT model for the determination of the main hydrodynamic and erosive soils characteristics of the Wadi Jir watershed in Gabes in south of Tunisia. The climate was arid climate, and specific local soils and land uses were induced to SWAT database. An adapted version of SWAT, which called SWAT WH2, was created by the HOTAR by the integration of different water harvesting technique in the model through programming. The SWAT 2000 code was modified by modifying and activating the pathos option. These details will be provided by Mr. Abdelli in next step of this presentation. The results seemed good. The calibration NSE and the R2 parameters was about 0.9 for the calibration, and they was about 0.8 for the validation. For an unfold series of 15 years, with an annual average rainfall of 188 millimeter, the water balance of Wadi Shir watershed was divided as follows: 65% for evapotranspiration, 10% for flow-outs, and 25% for groundwater recharge. 4 scenarios were considered. For different scenarios, the dominant term is evapotranspiration, it ranged between 57 to 65%, and the recharge takes second place with a variation of 47 to 60% of the average annual rainfall. Mtib'a et al. 2018 used the SWAT model to identify critical source area and investigate the effectiveness of different best management practices, BMPs, in reducing sediment yield in the WaMED watershed. The WaMED watershed is located in the semi-arid climate as given in the map. SWAT was used in this case to simulate the stream flow and the sediment yield. There is a large dam existing that was existing in the study area. So the coefficient benefit analysis, the cost benefit analysis CBA, was used to evaluate the cost effectiveness of different BMP scenarios. The objective of the present study was to determine the most cost-effective management scenario for controlling sediment yield. About 34% of catchment area consisted of critical sources area that were affected by high to very high soil erosion. The second main result have shown that contour ridges were found to be the most effective individual BMP, best management practices, in terms of sediment yield reduction. While at the watershed level, implementing contour ridges reduced sediment yield by 59%. Combination of BMP scenarios were more cost-effective than the contour ridges alone. The combining buffer strips with other BMPs depending on land slope was the most effective approach in terms of sediment yield reduction and economic benefits. This approach reduced sediment yield by 62% with a benefit cost ratio. In 2019, Kardi and Abdelli developed a SWAT model to study storm water management and reduction of flood risk for the town of Marith, located in south of Tunisia, in Gabs. The watershed was Wadi Sigi watershed. The floods the floods in November 11 and 12, 2017 in Gabs caused significant human and material damages. The objectives of this work, the main objective was the management of stormwater and the reduction of flood risk for the city of Marith, and the specific objectives were identify the causes and effects of the flooding on November 11 and 12, 2017, and develop scenarios for urban planning to protect the city of Marith from future flooding incidents. 4 scenarios were developed as scenario 0, 1, 2, and 3, and which are shown in this graph. And the scenario 3, this graph shows that scenario 3 is the optimal one. So as a result, to protect To protect the city of Merd from floods, the decision maker was urged to choose scenario 3. Scenario 3, which suppose the 100% diversion of water flow from Wadi Sigi to Wadi Zigzag in the Azaiza region, coupled with increasing the width of Wadi Sigi in Merd by adding a fourth culvert. Another study was published by Musbahi et al. 2023. Musbahi et al. Used SWAT model to quantify and analyze land use change and its impact on water resources on the Sijnan watershed, northern Tunisia. The climate was subhumid climate. The Sijnan Dam was constructed at the outlet of the basin. Different land use maps were used to show the landscape pattern of the basin before and after the construction of the dam. The impact of land use change on hydrological processes, including evapotranspiration, surface runoff, percolation, and water yield. Main results have shown that it was found that land use change strongly affect surface runoff that was increased by 36 millimeter. However, percolation declined by 22 millimeter, followed by lateral flow with a reduction of 9 millimeter. These, in fact, as a summary, these figures illustrate the spatial and temporal change in evapotranspiration, surface runoff, and percolation in the watershed. Jarrah et al. 2000, I think it's final one. Finally, Jarrah et al. 2023 used SWAT model to measure and analyze the impact of the soil and water conservation interventions on sediment yield in Wadi Rimel watershed in northern Tunisia. The climate was semi-arid. Landsat satellite imageries were used to classify and generate the land use and land cover map. The different soil classes were defined based on digitalized Tunisian soil map. The results seemed satisfactory. Good model performance. The calibration results have shown an NSE of 0.6 and R2 an NSE and R2 of 0.6 as value of 0.6 for the calibration, and for the validation the two values are about 0.8. The results showed that the increase in terracing area led to a cumulative decrease in watershed sediment yield in long term. These findings suggest that maximal benefits of soil and water conservation should be expected in the long term, and these findings enable stakeholders to plan effective management in semi-arid wheat-based agricultural area with scarce data. I hope it's clear. Many studies, we cannot limit all the studies, but just some example in limit time. I hope that it is clear, and thank you for you all.
Thank you, Rim. We continue with the presentation. We continue by the presentation of the results of adaptation of SWAT to simulate under Tunisian arid condition, and it takes into account a specific water harvesting technique. The main objective is to develop a DSS, a decision support system, for controlling the management of watershed in arid area of Tunisia. The specific objective is to determine the different component of hydrologic balance of those watersheds, and to propose and simulate the impact of a new land management scenario. First, I give you the idea about the problem, why we use the modelization. The degradation of the natural environment is a serious phenomenon, especially in arid and semi-arid area. This phenomenon is aggravated by anthropologic activity and natural activity as climate factors. This situation results in the deterioration of water resources and soil degradation, in which agriculture development is based. Attentive of this issue, the Tunisian state undertook major work in the field of water and soil conservation since 1956. This decision was reinforced in the early of 1990 with the implementation of we call him a national water harvesting strategy. At the end of the strategy, it seemed necessary to use the evaluation of the impact of those water harvesting technique and their effect in hydrologic balance of the watershed. For this reason, the hydrological modeling is used, which is as a decision support system to resolve the problem of the management of watershed in arid region of Tunisia. Why we choose the SWAT model? We use SWAT model because it's open source. The availability of the source code and the executable of the model, it's for free. For that, we choose this model. Also, SWAT give a model to generate missing data, especially for weather station. This is a big problem for the region or for the arid zones of the south of Tunisia. Also, the model uses GIS and other advantage. For the spatial path of the flow in the original version of SWAT, they didn't take account of the existence of water harvesting technique. For this original version, for each subbasin, SWAT summarizes the runoff coming out of all HRUs and adds this to the ridge. All the water accumulated go directly to the wadi. SWAT irrigation operation, which limits the water application to what can be stored in the soil. Only the soil. They didn't take into account the water harvesting technique. But in reality, the land is occupied by specific water harvesting technique for and it's specific for the arid region of the south of Tunisia. Those water harvesting not represented. For that, we need to represent those water harvesting techniques. To represent those processes, a number of modifications need to be made in the model. First, I want to give an overview or briefly description of water harvesting technique. Sure, there is people that don't understand what you mean Ouessar system or tabias or all this water harvesting technique. For the Ouessar, it's water harvesting technique widely used in the south of Tunisia, especially in the mountain area. Even for each Ouessar is component by the following element: there is a dike. It's a barrier for stopping the runoff. This area is a wall for dry stones to become more to support the dike. There is at least it's an important volume of materials extracted from the slope by runoff is accumulated over the time behind the dike. There is also the spillway. There is the catchment. The catchment area is the area which collected and transmitted the runoff water to crop area. Also, there is the crop area or terraces. It's the area in which farming is practiced. It is formed progressively by the deposition of sediment. It's an artificial, if we can say that, artificial soil will be accumulated, which can be up to 5 meters deep, close to the dike. They generally fruit trees, especially and mainly olives and chickpeas and barley and wheat are cultivated in those terraces. For the tabia system, the tabia technique is similar to the Ouessar system used in the Piedmont area. It is considered to be a relatively new technique developed by the mountain people who migrated to the plain area. Another water harvesting technique is the cistern systems. The cistern is used to supply the rural community with water for different uses, especially for drinking water, livestock watering, and irrigation. Runoff water is collected and stored in the tank, underground tank of various size. For the little size, we call him mejel, and for the big size, we call him fasqiya. It is estimated that a tank with a capacity of 35 cubic meters can satisfy the annual water needs of a family and its livestock. Now, for the water harvesting, another water harvesting called gabion check dams. It's small, as you see in the photo. It's small check dams are installed in the wadi beds in order to slow down the water flow in the wadi courses and improve its infiltration. Those dams are made of gabion or in masonry. The use of check dams is widely practiced over all the country of Tunisia. Now we go directly to the modification and added to the SWAT original version. The SWAT code was modified by the team of Mohamed Ouessar to simulate the collection of runoff water behind the water harvesting structure. Especially here we speak about Jisur and Tabia. By bringing the surface runoff and lateral flow generated in the subbasin back to the water harvesting hasharus in the subbasin. As you know here in red part. SWAT irrigation from rich option was used to allow the entry of input data for controlling the amount of water harvested by the different hasharus. This option allows the user to specify the fraction of runoff water, the flow fraction, and the maximum height of water impounded or stored in each hasharu, represented by the div max. As modification, first the water is distributed to all the source hasharu, and secondly to the tabia structures, which are generally located downstream from the Jisur. Finally, the remainder of runoff water flows downstream and go directly to the Wadi. The second part is, or the second modification here, if the total water harvested by the hasharu exceed the field capacity of the soil profile, it will become percolation. This is different from the original SWAT version, which limited the water application to what can be stored in the soil profile. The third modification is took the heat unit accumulation. The initialization of the heat unit accumulation was changed to allow the perennial and annual crops to grow during the Mediterranean hydrologic year from autumn to summer. The fourth modification is took the dormancy period. It was removed because the crop in the watershed do not become dormant in this region. Also, as for the olives as permanently green, the shading of leaves of tree present in the model was removed. Also, the team changed the runoff curve number as specified in the management file. It did not function in the original version. This was corrected. Now, as a result, we have the modified SWAT model, and we have as a result a SWAT for water harvesting. Now we go directly with the improvement in this version SWAT water harvesting version. It's the same team. In fact, it's the same team continue working in this issue. The improvement of water harvesting took place at two levels. First, the integration of this source system by modification the source code of the model, more precisely by activating and modifying the portal subroutine using the visual Fortran compiler. Also, the second modification is the direct use of the hydraulic structure already represented in the model. Here we speak especially for the use of the reservoir option to represent the recharge check dams, and the use of ponds option to represent the cistern. For the first modification, the integration of the GSUR. In SWAT water harvesting version, this is the first version 1, all GSUR's units receive the same quantity of water, regardless of the quantity generated by this own amphibian. And this is, it isn't the reality. For that, we modified this option by using the Python subroutine. Each unit, when we use this option, each unit, and we refer her for each user, they receives water only from its own amphibian. The excess go directly to the wadi. These parameters is conditioned by the quantity or the maximum water that we can store in the cultivating area is referred to pot volume max, and other parameters is the real impact APMP. It's to take difference between a geyser as a cultivating area or the amphibian that generated the water. As you see here, for the next modification is the use directly of options that exist in the original version, but we modified some parameters. For example, here for the reservoir is option that use it to represent check dams in soil water harvesting too. As you see here, for the reservoir is a hydraulic structure located in the main wadi. It's the same thing as the check dams. It receives water from the upstream sub-basin. The water is evacuated by a spillway to around to downstream part of the wadi. It's the same characteristic or the same philosophy as check dams. The difference is in the characteristic or the objective of reservoir and the Gabion check dams. For the reservoir, it's used to store water. Reverse, for the Gabion check dams, it's used to recharge the aquifer. For that, we need to modify the characteristic of infiltration, and we eliminated the emergency spillway. We used also the pond option to represent cistern in this new version. As you see here, the pond, we compare here the pond and the cistern. The pond are hydraulic water storage structures located within the sub-basin. The same thing with the cistern. Also, the amphibian of the pond is defined as a fraction of the total surface area of the sub-basin. The same thing with cistern. It does not receive water from other sub-basins. Also, they receive only runoff water generated by the sub-basin where it is located. To get closer to the reality, we need to modify some characteristic of the pond, and by reducing the two flows to zero is the evaporation and the infiltration, because the cistern is used to store the water. To test this new version of SWAT, we proposed scenarios, and we apply this new version using these scenarios. For the first scenarios, we call him is natural scenarios. It's a scenario without human intervention, without water harvesting technique. The scenario two is we suppose that the land is only occupied by the Jesur to detect the effect of the Jesur. The third scenario is the current state of the basin. It's a scenario as it's a reference scenario to compare it with the others. The third scenario is in the current state of the basin, we added intensively cistern. We added about more than 1,000 unit of cisterns. Then for the last scenario, we deactivate the effect of gabion check dams and to intensification of cistern. Why? To evaluate the effect of cisterns and to compare the existence of the use of check dams and the cistern. The results, as example of the results, if you consider that the land is still without a human intervention, this is imaginary scenario, helps us to properly evaluate the effect of human intervention. The flow of outlet becomes very important given the absence of obstacle. Then the new version has well reproduced the effect of water harvesting technique in the region of Matmata in the south of Tunisia. As conclusion, the modification to the SWAT code as well as the calibration and validation operation resulted in a new version called SWAT for water harvesting 2, able to study hydrologic process under the arid condition of the south of Tunisia. And as general conclusion, we disposed of two new versions able to use it, especially in the Tunisian arid areas. We call him SWAT for water harvesting and SWAT for water harvesting 2. And thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Monji.
Thank you.
Very nice presentation. So we arrive almost at the end of our masterclass. I just want to know if someone has some questions. I've seen one question from Ashi, but I mean, we are not so expert to show you how to modifying the source code now. It will also take quite a few time to explain all the source code. So maybe we will skip this one. But I don't know if there are questions for Monji or for Lorenzo Ismail, considering either the technical part of the application. Just in case, you can now open your microphone or write in the chat. And we are really happy if you put your camera on in this moment we are discussing. So it seems we have no question. So I don't know if just in this case, since we almost exceeded the time allocated, maybe we can go to the conclusions. I don't know, Lorenzo, Ismail, if you have some comments. Just keep in mind, as you have seen, that actually we are a project, so a community of researchers, and we are working on non-conventional waters, but also in the SWAT model. And I think like in the next year, you will start to see also our results regarding the modeling. So on the project now, there is some results, some deliverables about the policy analysis and the stakeholders living lab activities, but now we are starting the modeling and we will use these models. So for any further question or for any information, you have our contacts. Feel free to drop us an email and we will try to answer you as soon as possible. And also if you follow our social and for the people that wanted to be inserted in the newsletter, you will receive updates on our activities. Thanks a lot. Thanks to the colleagues. Thank you for your presence here, and we will meet or get in touch, hopefully in the next future. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.